Good evening, fellow students, teachers, alumni, and esteemed guests. My name is Keegan Carter, and I am the current president of Gamble. On behalf of our board and members, we would like to thank you all for your attendance this evening. We would also like to thank our co-sponsors, the Georgetown McDonough School of Business Undergraduate Program Office, the Georgetown McDonough Office of Alumni and External Relations, the McDonough Retail and Luxury Association, the Undergraduate Marketing Association, and the McDonough Global Student Association for their assistance in the cultivation of this event. Gamble, founded in 2008, is an acronym that stands for Georgetown Aspiring Minority Business Leaders and Entrepreneurs. Since our establishment, we have worked to provide minority undergraduates with a holistic solution to the employment process through a community and alumni mentoring framework. Our ultimate goal is to bridge the gap between underrepresented minorities on campus and top-tier corporations. Tonight, I have been afforded the opportunity to introduce our Senior Associate Dean and Director of the Undergraduate Program here in the McDonough School of Business, Dean Norianne Sharp. With over 20 years of experience in higher education, Dean Sharp is an accomplished scholar, faculty member, and administrator. I have personally been able to experience her valuable presence from a student perspective, and I have benefited from her energy, enthusiasm, and visit for undergraduates. Would you all please join me in welcoming her to the stage, Dean Norianne Sharp.
Thank you, Keegan, for that very kind introduction. Before we introduce the main speaker for this evening, I wanted to officially welcome our students, faculty, and alumni who are joining us here this evening. I would also like to thank all of the students from our many student organizations who have given their energy to plan this event. This is one of a series of talks that the undergraduate program has hosted on the topic of luxury and retail marketing in our modern global economy. Last fall, we initiated the series with Fabrizio Freda, CEO of Estee Lauder. A few weeks ago, we hosted Domenico Da Sole, CEO of Tom Ford and former CEO of Gucci. And this evening, we are pleased to welcome Mr. John Idol, CEO of Michael Kors. Now I would like to welcome Ricardo Ernst, Professor of Operations, Global Logistics, and Director of our new Global Business Initiative, who will introduce Mr. Idol.
Thank you, Dean, for the introduction. Tonight, we are pleased to host John D. Idol, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Michael Kors Holding Limited. Michael Kors is recognized as one of America's preeminent designers for luxury accessories and sportswear. Mr. Idol's prior position was Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Casper ASL, the holding company for Albert Nippon, Anne Klein, and Casper brands of apparel and accessories. In this role, Mr. Idol successfully led a corporate restructuring and brand repositioning to increase the shareholder value and bring the company back to profitability within 2 years. The company was successfully sold to Jones Apparel Group. Mr. Idol was formerly the Chief Executive Officer of Donna Karam International. During his 4-year tenure, he spearheaded a vigorous turnaround, creating a global operation with a balanced mix of wholesale and company-owned retail sales. After successfully repositioning the company, Donna Karan International was sold to LVMH Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, the European luxury goods conglomerate. Prior to joining Donna Karan, Mr. Idol spent 13 years at Polo Ralph Lauren Corporation, where he serves as Group President and Division Chief Operating Officer. As you can tell, a very long and successful career in the field. Mr. Idol serves on the Board of Regents for Georgetown University, the Board of Advisors for Georgetown College, and acts as an advisory to Tuesday's Children, a nonprofit foundation supporting 9/11 victims' family needs. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Idol.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Idol, and I am Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Michael Kors. That's my first title. My real title And you know what CEO means, right? Chief Executive Officer. My real title is DAD. That's Dad for my daughter, Christina Idle, who is a junior here at Georgetown. So it is my privilege and pleasure to come down and speak to you this evening, and it is another excuse for me to come down and see my daughter. So this afternoon, we're going to talk about a few different things. First, I'm going to tell you the story of Michael Kors, and it's obviously been a huge American success story. The individual himself, Michael, and the business that we've built together. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about is entrepreneurship, because you're all in the business school, or you're alumni from the school. You want to understand how to build a business, how do you build a successful business, how do you make a great, successful American story, and how do you do that in the global economy today? And the last thing we're going to talk about is white space. It's something that I think you're going to hear me talk about a few different times in the presentation, and I believe in it. And if you think about the great American entrepreneurs, they have come up with ideas that really fill needs and voids in the marketplace. Many of you in this room have an Apple iPad, you have an Apple phone. You know, when you think about the best and the greatest American company in the world today, it is Apple. And Steve Jobs, many, many years ago, saw the need to fill white space. And we're going to talk about how that worked with Michael Kors. Before we start, though, many of you in this room may not know who Michael Kors is or what the business really stands for. So I'm going to start with a little video of Michael speaking about the company and the brand. Do I just press this?
Well, I think that, when I was little, I think there was that moment when all of a sudden the paparazzi became a big part of the culture at large. Getting off a plane, on the yacht. Fast-moving, fast-paced, they travel the world. It's all about that idea that you can be glamorous, but you're still dressed for comfort, dressed for speed, but still very indulgent, very aspirational. It's really cool when it looks like you didn't think too hard. Easy, casual, it's never too conscious. It's never about everything being matched. It's about mixing it up. It's about movement. The world has really gotten to be a much smaller place. The world lives in fast-paced, casual clothes that have a bit of edge. Maybe you might wear it a little differently from city to city. And to me, the coolest thing is when you blend the idea that you can have something that's urbane and sleek, but you have a little touch of Aspen. You have a little touch of St. Bart's or Capri. You mix the two together, and then ultimately that's the best formula, because those are the pieces that you can wear when you are on vacation or when you're running out to the office. The right garment, the right shoe, the right bag, it changes your whole attitude. Suddenly you feel like a princess. That's the transformation that fashion brings.
So that's a little bit about the brand, Michael Kors, the man himself describing it. And what the company stands for is jet set luxury. So it's about traveling, it's about living a glamorous lifestyle, and what we've done is we've brought that to a broader audience. So we call it accessible luxury. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the presentation. But Michael obviously is quite a famous individual today that was helped by Project Runway, which we'll talk about later. But you can see him here with Hilary Swank and other very famous, Miranda Kerr, and other famous actresses. And that's part of our marketing, to make sure that Michael is photographed with the most beautiful actresses and models in the world. Just to talk to you about a little bit the history, Michael was in FIT. studying. About halfway through, he said, no, I want to go out and I want to develop my own line. And so what Michael did is really, literally out of his own apartment, he started having clothes made and designing them and hand delivering them to Bergdorf Goodman. And this is really a Horatio Alger story in terms of a man with an idea and a determination to make it happen. And then in 1984, he hosted his first fashion show. In 1999, he needed money, because to build a business, you need to have money. And there wasn't just enough money to really build the business, so he went to Louis Vuitton and Moët Hennessy and partnered with them. At the same point in time, he became the design director for Celine and was building his business, opened his first flagship store in 2000. And then in 2003, he came to my partners and myself, and he said, I want to build a really big business. I think you guys are the right guys to do it. Let's get together and let's figure this out. I have a great concept. I have a dream. I have a vision. You have expertise with many years in the business. You have the financing to help this happen. So we bought the company in 2003, and it's all well documented. We paid about $40 million for the business, and which really, doing about $17 million at the time, which was an enormous amount of money to pay for a business. But we believed in his dream and his vision and our ability to execute that dream and vision. And then in 2006, we opened our first lifestyle store. We decided that we wanted to control our own destiny. And the first store, interestingly enough, that we opened in North Park, Texas, is exactly the same design that you will see when you go to Pentagon City to see our store, when you go to Tyson's Corner, either in Tyson's 1 or in Tyson's 2, or when you go down to Georgetown to see the store. And by the way, I hope you visit all of them. But it's quite interesting. You know, we took this idea and this concept to say that accessories, fashion accessories, were something that we could excite women around the globe with, and we could do it where everything wasn't $1,000 for a handbag, $2,000 for a watch, and $400 for eyewear. Where today you go into a Michael Kors store, the handbag might be $350, the watch might be $250, the eyewear might be $200. So we're bringing runway fashion to you at accessible luxury pricing. And just one other note for you, you know, there are other examples of this in the world, and I use Mercedes-Benz constantly to refer to that. You know, if you see Mercedes-Benz has an S-Class, they have an E-Class, and they have a C-Class. If you buy the E-Class Mercedes-Benz, you didn't leave the showroom saying, oh, I bought the cheap Mercedes-Benz. No, you bought a Mercedes-Benz. So Michael Kors has, and of course we went public, and we'll talk about that later. Michael Kors went from $20 million in 2004 to this year we'll do approximately $1.8, $1.9 billion. And there are very few companies, both in the fashion industry or quite frankly just in business in general, that have reached this type of trajectory. And we're going to talk about why and how we did that. Again, jet set luxury, we're communicating that as a vision. So we have a designer delivering beautiful runway designs. Secondly, we're delivering a dream. When you were watching that video in the beginning, how many in this room wanted to be on the boat? How many wanted to be on the helicopter? You know, how many wanted to be on the private plane? Everybody. So we're bringing you a dream. So when you buy a piece of Michael Kors, you're buying a piece of the jet set lifestyle. You're buying a piece of the dream. And we're working every day of the week to communicate that more and more and more. We have a mantra inside the company. We call it wings, wheels, and water. And it really signifies what the jet set lifestyle is. We have two different lines in the company. We have a line first called Michael Kors, which competes with Gucci and Prada and Vuitton. Many of you probably saw my friend Domenico De Sole here the other night. And we compete against his former company, and Tom Ford would be up there as well. And then we have our second line, which is Michael Kors, which competes with Marc Jacobs and Coach and C by Chloe and Kate Spade. Again, when the customer buys the product from us, whether it's a Michael Kors product or a Michael Kors product, we want you to have that same experience. We want you to feel that you have bought luxury, that you have bought fashion, and that you look fabulous when you go out that night. So Michael established his runway collection in 1981, and again, we sell it to all the finest stores in the world. And then in 2004, after we bought the company, we decided to deliver this accessible luxury line. And part of that's the white space. You know, we could have gone all luxury. We thought that was going to take us longer to build, a very competitive landscape with Hermes and Prada and Gucci and Vuitton, and we didn't think that we were going to win solely focused on luxury. We also saw the landscape and said, there's a lot of people around the world who cannot afford a $1,000 or a $2,000 or a $5,000 handbag, but they want the same style and design and quality. And one of the things we're going to continue to talk about throughout the presentation is, this is our best-selling handbag in the company, and I'm sure there's a few of them in this room. But when you look at this bag, you think it looks like a $1,000 or a $2,000 handbag. And that's what we do better than our competitors. We put more quality into the product. We might operate on lower margins, but again, we saw the white space. Deliver a product that is fashion, that creates incredible value, and really fills a void in the marketplace, and we could build a business. And another product is our watch. How many of you have a Michael Kors watch in this room? I love it. We can sell a lot more. Okay. This year, we will ship $800 million worth of these watches worldwide. Next year, we'll ship $1 billion. We are the largest designer watch business in the world, and we did that in 7 years. So think about all the ideas of all you smart people at the McDonough Business School, and you can do the same thing too. We looked at our brand awareness when we bought the company, and it was at 11% in the United States. So again, we said white space, plenty of opportunity for us to build brand awareness. We're going to talk about how we did that. And we took it from 2004, 11% to 78% in 2012. And again, you can see how we compare up against our other competitors. Still have plenty of opportunity to grow with brand awareness. So that means our business can grow and develop in the United States. If you looked at this same chart for Europe, it's about 35%. And if you look at the same chart for the Asian marketplaces, it's about 35%. So again, huge opportunity for us to grow. Again, we have to communicate through a number of different marketing areas, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. Our business today is 75% accessories. My history came from the apparel business with Ralph Lauren and Donna Karan, et cetera. We made a decision early on in our career that we didn't want to focus our efforts predominantly on the ready-to-wear business, mainly because it was more competitive, very price-driven. You know, you guys can go to H&M, you can go to Zara, you can go to Macy's, you can go to all these different people, and you get a coupon, you get a discount, and we didn't think that was the right place for a luxury company to be and to be on sale on a regular basis. So we thought that being in the accessories world, where there's less markdowns and more focused on the fashion itself and less about price, was the right place for us to go to be in a high-margin luxury business. Second thing is we wanted to own our own stores. I told you before, in 2006, we opened our first store. As of the end of our last quarter, we had 253 stores that we owned. We have about another 50, 60 that are licensed, so 300 stores around the world. We believe that we can open up 600 stores in totality and probably another 200 licensed stores, so 800 stores around the world. And again, we want to control our image through our own stores, and we want to give you a great Michael Kors experience, a jet set experience, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, about how our employees interact with consumers coming into the stores. So this is our store on Madison Avenue in New York. So this would be a collection store, first line. Interior design, obviously the highest quality materials inside the store. This is our Madison Avenue second line store called Michael. This is where the Michael Kors product is sold. They are also called Michael Kors because we carry our first line and our second line handbags together in the stores. This is our flagship store in Rockefeller Center, which is highly, highly successful. We do more business. I can't tell you how much business, otherwise I'd have to kill you all. But we do more business in this store than Gucci does on Fifth Avenue, and I wish Domenico was standing here when I said that. But he's not. I'll call him tonight and tell him. Again, we're creating excitement. We're creating drama inside the stores. This is our store in the Grove. And again, you know, you walk into a Michael Kors store and you feel like you're in a luxury store, but you walk out with a $300 handbag or a $250 watch. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about what you bought, and you didn't break the bank. And you can probably come back and see us next week, too. Again, Lots of visual stimulation inside the stores with videos, and we're starting to add iPads and some concierge services inside the store that Eric Mogul is working on right over here. He's a Wharton graduate, but we won't hold that against him. Our store in Regent Street in London. By the way, we operate in 72 countries around the world. And what's interesting is when you get into a store like Paris Rue Saint-Honoré, or you get into Dusseldorf in Germany, we're probably having sales associates inside the company speaking over 30 languages. So inside of certain stores, we might have to speak 7 or 8 languages inside the store. So a typical store, we need to speak Mandarin, we need to speak English, we need to speak Russian, we need to speak Portuguese, we need to speak French, we need to speak Spanish. And imagine we have to train all these employees to do this. So we have about 6,000 employees around the world today, and we're adding between 1,500 and 2,000 a year. Baghdad, Istanbul. This is Taipei. This is Kuala Lumpur. This is Roppongi Hills in Tokyo. Again, we want to give that same experience every time you see one of our stores. So these are just some of the cities that we operate in all around the world. And again, want to bring that same consistent jet set experience. One of the things I do want to talk about is our sales associates. And we have one sitting right over here, Megan Grimm, who works in our store in Georgetown. We spend a lot of time and energy and money on training people inside the stores. We have an ex-sales associate sitting right over here, one of the Piaggetta girls, who worked with us in Madrid. And it's very important for us, when you go in our stores, they're alive, they're up, they're exciting. I remember when we opened our first store, I had friends come to me and said, your store's too white and bright, and the music's loud, and those sales girls, they're wearing high heels, and they're in short dresses, and they're looking pretty racy. I said, thank God. It's no different than when Abercrombie closed all the windows in the stores. I said, this is crazy. This is and turned up the music outside, had guys standing outside, without shirts on. I know you girls all hated that. But it made you pay attention. It made you look. It made you interested. It made you excited. And that's what happens. You walk up and down M Street, and it's funny. I always ask my daughter, Christina, I say, who's exciting? Who's got energy? Who's got action on the street? You walk past the Michael Kors store, and they're exciting. And people are in there and they're shopping. And guess what that does? That makes you want to go in and shop. Even if you didn't want to shop that day, you kind of have to just go in the door and get the feeling and get the excitement and get the energy. So everything that we're doing inside that store has a reason. And it's really to attract you to come in so that and then you have a great experience when you're in there, and hopefully you'll return to see us again. What does that all mean? That has brought us to the best-in-class matrix. For the last 3 years, we have the highest comp store sales of any luxury retailer in the world. And that's 3 years running. So we've reported that we have 41% comp store sales through our second quarter of this year. There is no other retailer who's anywhere close to us in terms of comparable store sales. So that means we're giving the right product to the customer at the right time, giving her the right quality, giving her the right exciting experience. And hopefully some of you are going to do internships with us over the years, or you'll work in our stores. And the fashion business is glamorous, right? I mean, you see the girls coming down the runway, they look fabulous. Or you see Michael up there, or you see planes, or you see fashion shows. I mean, it's all just amazing, right? But it's a business. And, it starts from whether it's the piece of leather that we're buying in India somewhere, or in Korea, or in Italy. And then we're sewing that in Asia or in Italy. And then we're shipping it on a boat from Asia over here. And then we're getting it to the warehouse. And then we're taking it from the warehouse and we're getting it to the store. And then when it doesn't sell in the store, we're bringing it back to the warehouse. And then we're transferring it to an outlet store. So there's an enormous amount of logistics that go on behind this business. And I know when a lot of people come in and work inside the company, they're like, wow, you got to do all this stuff to end up making that happen? And the answer is yes. It's no different than building an iPhone, getting it to the store, going to the Genius Bar, having your great experience with your sales associate at the Genius Bar. And if you don't have a good experience with that person, you might not come back. So it goes all the way linked from end to end when you're running a business like this. And that's how you get to 41% comp store growth. We do have wholesale partners around the world. So we're in Bergdorf and Saks and Macy's and Nordstrom, or in Europe, we're in Printemps, or in Galeries Lafayette, or in Asia, we're in Lane Crawford, et cetera. And another unique thing about our company is we have hundreds and hundreds of people that work for us inside the department stores that are on our payroll. And we did that purposely because sometimes you go into a department store, you don't have the best experience. Or can you even find anybody to have an experience with? And we thought that the only place in a department store that you found a good experience was typically at the cosmetic facilities. So MAC Cosmetics, always, it's rocking and the girls look crazy and, it's fabulous but it's part of the whole brand experience. So we wanted to create that same thing, so hopefully most of the stores you see us in, they're department store shop-in-shops. This happens to be a new shop-in-shop that we just opened up in Macy's next to Gucci and Vuitton and whatnot. And we're actually the second highest producing brand in Macy's in 34th Street behind LVMH. This happens to be our shoe shop in Herald Square, Galerie Lafayette in Berlin. So again, this is the Zoom in Moscow, Takashimaya Shinjuku in Japan. So everywhere you go in the world, we try to replicate that same experience. This happens to be an airport shop in Taiwan. This is the new JFK airport shop. And it's interesting, we opened this shop up about a year ago, and in its first year, we'll do $3 million. I mean, we had no idea. And one week, it's Chinese customers shopping in there. The next week, it's people from Russia. Next week, it's people from France because, depending on what the airline schedules are. And again, we have to speak all those languages, and we've got to be able to service the customer the same jet set way that we do when they're shopping here in Georgetown. We have multiple people producing additional product for us, and those are in places where we don't think it's our core competency. So our watch licensee is a company called Fossil. They make the Burberry watches and the Armani watches, et cetera. You may know the company, the brand. So they're a terrific partner for us. They make our jewelry as well. Estee Lauder, many of you may have seen Fabrizio Fredo here last year speaking. He's our partner on fragrances. And then a company called Marchand on eyewear. Okay, marketing. Back to the glamorous part. Obviously, you can see we have some of the most famous faces wearing our product. You have Rihanna, you have Adele, you have Katie Holmes, you have Blake Lively. And we work really hard to have those faces on those magazines. And by the way, each of them talk to different customers. So it's important for us, when we shoot Blake Lively or get her shot on a cover, we'll take that and we'll send that picture virally. And Blake Lively has very high Q ratings in Asia. Or Rihanna will have very high Q ratings for us in Asia, where Adele might not. So all of this has a reason for being when you look at it. Sometimes it's by luck, sometimes it's by planning. But we work very, very hard to try and talk to different customers through different means of communication. So outdoor advertising is a very important medium for us. Works better in certain markets than others. So one of our most important outdoor markets is Los Angeles, which is somewhere up here. Buses in the UK, or it might be outdoor advertising in Madrid. So we look at each market and say, how can we communicate with the customer? Direct mail pieces. Interesting. We looked, many of you in this room probably don't look at anything with print on it any longer. You're looking at everything online. So our main competitor went out of the catalog business. They said, it's expensive, we're going to stop doing it. So what did we do? We're going to send catalogs. And so we are sending about 6 million catalogs a year out, and it's incredible what it does for our business. And I think many of you have a catalog inside your bag tonight. You can use that to shop with later on this evening. I'm fine with that. And we probably will have the product available for you in the store tomorrow. Megan can help you with that. We might have a big rush tomorrow, Megan. But catalogs are still important. Now, we have an online version of that, and we have the mail version of that as well. But we look at, again, multiple layers of opportunity to market with. Email blasts, very, very important for us. Every time we send an email blast, we're sending out 1.4 million emails, not just in the US, and we're doing that 3 times a week. And again, we get tremendous response back from the emails. Social media. One of my favorite new topics. Everybody in this room loves talking about social media, right? Eric and I work awful hard on social media. Eric says things I don't even understand. So we are deeply involved with Facebook, And we have a very, very close association with Facebook. As a matter of fact, Sheryl Sandberg talked about it in her recent conference call and their recent earnings call. We went from about less than 1 million Facebook fans about 7 or 8 months ago to 4 million Facebook fans today. On Twitter, what are we up to now? Oh, there it is. Sorry, thank you. We're up to over 1 million, and I believe Michael is the only living designer. We're #1 living designer. Yves Saint Laurent is actually larger than us, but living designer, we're #1 in the world, and that was almost 0 a year ago. And then you can see YouTube, 2 million views, and Pinterest. For as exciting as Pinterest is, look at it, 73,000 views. It's really nothing. And this is growing. We're probably adding about 1 million fans every 2 months. And what we're working very hard on, and this is something that we're deeply engaged with, is what does that all mean? So you're my fan. You like me. And now you have the new buy and want button. But how do we convert that into a business? And it's going to become a very, very important part of how we drive our business long term, is how you take social beyond just saying, oh, I have 4 million fans. And that's nice to say, but what does that really mean? And we're working very, very closely with Facebook to try and convert the fan to being somebody who purchases from us. And we're tracking that through how many of the Facebook fans are coming through our website, and we know what those numbers are. So again, social media, very important. And it's also important because everyone in this room knows that newspaper and magazines are becoming less and less relevant every day of the week, and everything's happening online. So if you're not in this space, if you're not committing serious resources to it, you're not going to be an important communicator in the future. Our public relations strategy. There she is. Let's hear it for Michelle Obama. Now, not only is Michelle Obama smart because she married the president, but she's also smart because her official White House portrait is in a Michael Kors dress. So we love Michelle Obama. She loves us, and we got a good thing going. So we look at a number of different ways inside of our public relations: editorial, celebrity, TV placement, project runway shows, our runway shows, and then special events. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to create a 360-degree communication. So it starts with print advertising. It's the old school way, but we kind of do it. Then secondly, you might see us outdoors. Then thirdly, you might see us through e-commerce, through email blast. Then you might get a direct mail piece. Then you might see us through digital advertising on banners. You know, we might put a cookie on something and follow you around. You ever notice that if you buy something from us and all of a sudden, how are they all over the place? Well, you pay money to do that. So we pay money to follow you around. I know that sounds creepy, but that's what we do. Mobile is becoming quick and another targeted communication. Social media, PR, events, and then we want to make sure that all ties back into what happens inside the stores. So not only do we work on what the visuals in the windows look like in the stores, but Megan, when she comes into the store, has to be dressed a certain way, right? You didn't know you were going to be talked about so many times tonight. So we want to pull it all together and make sure it's this 360-degree experience. So what are the takeaways? The takeaways are, first you have to start with a good idea. And you have to look at, in our opinion, the white space. So in our particular case, we said there's an opportunity to be able to bring accessible luxury to a broader group of people. And obviously doing $2 billion a year, we got it right. And what you need to do when you're thinking about starting a business or taking an idea and making it bigger is ask yourself the question, how big can it be? Do I have the resources to make it that big? And is that what I want it to be long term? So in other words, if you wanted to start a great web business, you know, and you said, this is the white space, this is the marketplace for it, so let's pretend it was Fresh Direct. You know, big marketplace, because it could deliver a lot of groceries to a lot of people. But let's say you wanted to start a business that was about delivering, some singular piece of jewelry. You might say, that marketplace is quite small, so in the end, I don't know how big of a business that's going to be. I don't know that I should take my time, effort, energy, and devote it to that. And that's what I see a lot of people kind of missing when they're trying to start a business or look at the idea and the concept is, how big can it be? What's the white space? Do I have the resources for it? And ultimately, is that what I want it to be when it's going to be 3, 5, 6, 10 years out from now? You need to have focus and execution. Too often, people do not stick to what they started with. They start an idea, the minute it doesn't work, they move a little bit this way, they move a little bit this way, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be nimble to move, but at the same point in time, if you have a clear vision and you have a plan to execute, stay with it, stay the course, believe in what your strategy is. You've got to give time for things to evolve. And again, too often, people who are starting businesses, they're impatient. They want it to be a success overnight. And to build a business, this took us 10 years to build. Nothing good happens overnight. Everything that's good takes time, takes patience. And I encourage you, if you're going to start a business or be a part of a business, nurture it. It's just like you guys. It takes time. Your parents had to feed you. They had to educate you. They had to go through a few bad experiences with you. I know none of you had that problem, but you have to nurture things. Have an entrepreneurial spirit. You know, it's interesting. I think many of you in this room are going to end up in the finance business, and that's great. That is an amazing, 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 amazing industry. And many of you are not going to be in that industry. So think about it. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be an entrepreneur? Do I want to work inside of a company? What do I want to do? And they're very, very different things. Many, many entrepreneurs fail. They don't make it. And they sit back 20, 30 years later and they say, I shouldn't have done that. And there's also people who work in corporations for many, many years and say, I wish I tried something. And one of the things I want to encourage you to think about as you do your internships, as you look at the first few years, as you're getting involved in business, ask yourself that question. What do I want to do? Do I want to grow up inside of a corporation, or do I want to try and do something new and different and exciting? You know, you look at somebody like Michael. Michael started this business in 1981 and really wasn't successful until about 4 or 5 years ago. But stuck with it, had a vision, nurtured it, found the right partners. You know, those are a lot of things that you have to think about when you're building a business. Always ask yourself if you're the best in class. You guys are at Georgetown. You are the best in your class, I'm sure, but you're in the best in class university in the whole world. So when you leave here with this amazing education, amazing foundation, whatever you do going forward, make sure you're the best in class, because you can be the best. If you want to be the best, you can be the best. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, but always aspire to be the best in class. And last, get yourself a $2 bill. I carry one in my wallet all the time because you have to have a little luck. Sometimes you can see the luck. And somebody was asking me, earlier today, how did my career start? And it was interesting. I was in a meeting with a guy called Ralph Lauren. Now, at the time, I thought he was about as old as you think I am. And that was kind of scary. But I took the opportunity to say, I think this is a lucky moment right now. I'm going to go introduce myself to this guy. And I'm going to try and let him know that I might be somebody who he should be interested in. And there's a guy in this room tonight called Keegan who did the same thing with me. So you have to have a little luck, but you also have to make your luck a little bit. It's okay. You have to know when to see it, and you have to know when to take advantage of it. So those are my thoughts about Michael Kors. Those are my thoughts about some of the things that might make you successful. And I'll now open it up for questions.
If you guys have any questions, you can come down to the mics on either side.
Hello, my name is Liz Sellers. I'm co-president of Gamble along with Keegan. I just wanted to know what contribution have you personally made to the company, the brand, that you're most passionate and proud of in the time that you've been working with Michael Kors?
Well, I'm very lucky in that I don't have a job. I really don't. I get up every day and I have a passion. And in our company, I tell people when they join the company, first and foremost, you have to work in retail. And I have a lot of great people from Georgetown or from Wharton or from Harvard or from Princeton who come to see me and say, I won't go work in retail. I just graduated from 4 years at college. I said, well, then good, you're not going to come work for me. Because what we are is in the retail business. So if you don't know how to fold a sweater, handle an irate customer, go in the back stock room, unpack something, then you don't know what we do. So I have a passion for what I do. And so I get up every day and I love the product. So the most exciting part of my day is to be able to work with the designers who are creating product, talk about color, talk about shoes, I have more pictures on my phone that you would laugh about afterwards. I'm walking through a shopping mall, I'll take a picture of someone's shoe, take a picture of their handbag, and they think I'm a little crazy. But it's fun. And I would also, the reason why I say this to you is because whatever you do, be excited about what you do. I can tell you the people who are great, the people who I meet who are successful, really successful, have a passion. When was the last time you saw someone who was amazing be like this? No, they're like this. They're excited because they love what they're involved in and what they're doing. So for me, the passion is the product and working with the people who are all involved with the product and seeing them all, make this amazing thing come true.
Thank you so much.
Why don't we go to the other side?
A lot of the most successful businesses, or at least in retail, they find like a niche market or something that just nobody else saw. The problem with that is you have to be innovative, but at the same time, new ideas are often going to run into the inertia of people fearing failure and a lot of people in the company fearing to go in different directions. How does Michael Kors, or how would you suggest trying to overcome that inertia and trying to keep that entrepreneur spirit, so to speak?
Well, the first thing is you have to have Tagament, which is a little pill you take when your stomach is upset. You can get it's over the counter, by the way, okay? And I say that truthfully because everything you said is 100% accurate. Again, when I was watching something on television last night at my sister Ginger's house, it was about Pixar. And when you think of, for me, obviously, I'm obsessed with Steve Jobs. I'm sure everybody else in this room is. A brilliant man, brilliant mind. God rest his soul. But everyone forgets he didn't just start Apple. He started Pixar too. Fabulous. And as an adult, to watch a Pixar movie, it's like amazing. It's you don't even need a kid in the room. Just forget the kid. I don't want to watch Pixar. Again, he took a chance. He saw white space. He said, here's these old animated films. I want to make something that's newer, more exciting. I'm going to need money. I'm going to need some people to gamble with me. I need to be clear about what my dream is. And then I need to execute it. So again, what's the white space? Am I going to stay consistent with what it is? And then what's my dream? You're going to be sick to your stomach halfway through that. There's no way that's not going to happen because probably the odds are against you that you're going to be successful. But if you never try, you're never going to be successful. So again, my feeling is that once you have a confidence that there is this white space, you really see it, you're really clear. Mark Zuckerberg said, I think I can connect all these people socially. Think about what he started with at Harvard. What was it, 100 or 1,000 or 3,000? I forget what the movie was. But a very small group of people. So he was testing, he was smelling to see if the idea was real. And then he went and developed it. So, that's a long-winded way of saying you've got to be clear that there's an opportunity and then go for it. And hopefully you build enough group of people who believe in your vision to support you as you go through that, unless you have very rich parents.
Hi, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today. My question is a little more technical. I just wanted to know what you thought the role of discovery commerce, as it's being called, fits into a brand like Michael Kors.
What is discovery commerce?
Discovery commerce.
Sounds like something he says to me in meetings.
It is. It's one of those terms that's being thrown around in the retail industry about sort of like the Pinterest, but when you click on the link and it's not to the product. So how do you connect the social, like, oh, this is posted here and this is posted here on blogs and stuff, to actual, purchasing?
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing about this whole thing. And we probably have more debate inside of our company about this whole social structure than almost anything else. And because number one, you want to be cool. So if I try to sell you my product online, then I'm not cool. And I want to be cool, desperate to be cool. No, but so you want to stay cool. But at the same point in time, you as a consumer, you want information. You want to get that product. So what's funny that we're finding recently is on Facebook in particular, the more we're actually showing live product as opposed to the cool, the more we're getting response to it. And I don't know whether that's just our company, because we are trying to be basically a fashion consulting reference for you. So maybe that's just our customer responding to us that way. But I think it's also people are looking at time, and time is valuable. So if you send me a message, or if you put something up on my wall, if I like it, yes, but I don't want to be frustrated and have to ask 6 friends where to get it. So we're actually finding the more information, the more ability to click all the way through is actually helping the entire engagement with the customer. Because we have an interesting fact. We've grown our fan base by 4 or 5-fold recently, and our engagement levels haven't dropped at all. And we're putting more live product in for the consumer to see. So it's a great question, and I didn't realize it was called that, but I'll make sure I have it for the next time.
I'm Jackie Abbey, and I'm an alumni of the Georgetown MBA program. I have a passion for leadership development, and wondering if you could share with some of the aspiring leaders in the group a recent leadership challenge you encountered and how you overcame it.
Okay. I think I started to say this before, but in our company, when you join the company, not only do you have to work in retail, but you have to park your ego at the door. That's a saying in our organization. So if you have an ego, you want to work in Michael Kors, go to another company. Because we don't have any room for that in our organization. And it's funny, Eric you're out of school 2 years. Meredith, you're out of school 2.5 years. And I sit in meetings with them all day long, and as far as I'm concerned, they're as smart as me, and I'm as smart as them. They went to better schools than I did. But this is just a personal experience. In our company, we try to keep the inspiration of management on an even plane, so that when we're having a dialogue with one another, it's not about who is trying to test who's trying to prove something to one another. You can get a lot of business environments that's there, and obviously business environments where there's highly competitive situations going on inside the organization where, I want your job, you want my job, I want to earn more money, I want to prove to my boss that I did better than you did. And so what we try to do is we try to make it much more inclusive. And we're actually an interesting company. We try not to operate in silos. We try to operate cross-functionally. And therefore, you have to make sure that Meredith is doing a good job. Because if she's not doing a good job, then Eric's not going to do a good job. So they have to work together. So that's not a specific instance, but it's a general reference, and we want to run the company that way. I think there's a lot of companies, actually, quite frankly, in the tech business that are operating very similarly. And I think it's also the nature of very fast-moving companies. If you have too many egos in the company, then what happens is people create fiefdoms, you know this, and they become cellular in a cell, and that's not something that we think is right for the entrepreneurial spirit. And that's something we want to be very careful of, because we're a $2 billion company now trying to go to $5 billion, and we feel if we lose our entrepreneurial spirit, we're actually going to damage our opportunity for growth. So I'm not sure that answered your question, but.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brianna Smith. I'm currently the VP of Strategic Partnerships for Gamble. I wanted to know, looking towards the future, what white space do you see for the market for accessible luxury?
That's a secret. Oh my goodness. Come here, I'll whisper it in your ear. No, look, the business that we're in today, we're going to have other competitors. We know that. We didn't all of a sudden We're at $2 billion. I'm sure you all know the story that Michael Kors was, in 2011, the most successful IPO on Wall Street. Last year, we were probably top 20 performing stocks in the world. We have an $11.5 billion market cap. We have a PE multiple that's on another planet. So everyone is trying to chase us right now. And we have really helped establish the market for accessible luxury goods. And I think that what our job is right now is to make sure that we maintain the #1 position. Because when you get in the #1 position, it means that everybody wants to come after you. And I was listening to Ted Leonsis today, and he was talking about the fact, saying very proudly, I was the former vice chairman of AOL. We were #1. We bought Time Warner. We were hugely successful. And then Google came along. Google, $200 billion market cap, really unbelievably successful company, as you all know, took away the business. So today, for us, it's not as much about the white space. It's about us, #1, expanding our current concept, and secondly, making sure that we get so far in front of everyone else that it's going to become very hard for someone to come and do what we're doing. And that's why we're moving so quick, so fast, and trying to make sure that we execute on our vision. And that's the other thing too, is once you get something that's working, then don't start going off in about 7 different directions, because that's another thing that happens with a lot of companies that they say, oh, I'm really good at this, I could do that too, when they haven't even exploited how far they could go with what they've built. So there's no real secret that I can really tell you.
Thank you.
My name is Vanetta Young. I'm an MBA student here and also an alum. I'm here back for my second licks, I guess. But now that you mentioned your stock, and thank you very much for going public, my stock portfolio really appreciated that. I just wondered, how do you respond to equity analysts who say that you may be growing too quickly? Like, as you mentioned, your PE ratio is around 45, as I last checked, and you have Coach that's around 12. So how do you, if someone asks you, is this growth rate sustainable, how do you respond to that?
Sure. Is that a Michael Kors watch you have
It
on?
is. My
Thank
husband
God.
bought it for me.
I'm 54 years old, and I can still see that far. Look, what I try to do is just answer a question as straightforward as I can, and that is that we have an ability to grow from our current 250 stores to 600 stores. And we have lots of examples of other companies who are already at that number of stores. We know what the size of the global luxury market is. It's $300 billion, and 25% of it's coming from the accessories business, and another 25% is coming from watches and jewelry. So we're playing in the right arenas. So we know that the size of the market is there for us to grow in, and we know that we have the locations to be able to open. So what I try not to do is to start to explain our PE, because that's not what our job is. Our job is to say, do we have the opportunity to grow? Do we have the market to do that? And most importantly, do we have the people to do that? Because again, we're a successful company, and Michael's an incredibly talented individual, but it's about 6,000 employees getting up every day of the week and communicating the same thing. It's just no different than when you guys come to a Georgetown class, first semester or second semester or spring and fall, you want to have that same experience. You don't want to have one teacher that you liked, one teacher that you hated, or the quality level of the different classes. So being able to deliver that consistently into a very large market, it's like Apple. Whether you bought that Apple in China or you bought it on M Street, it's the same experience and the same product. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pamela. I'm a student at the undergraduate business school here, majoring in finance. And continuing on the topic of the IPO, I was wondering why and how did you decide to go public, that it was the right time, and what was your motivation for going public, and what did you use the proceeds from the IPO towards?
Wow. She got it all in one
Finance major.
You sound like an analyst on a conference call.
I mean, I am applying for investment banking jobs.
Oh,
so.
I got it. Okay, now I understand why. You're going to do well. I think I can answer all those. Let me try. So my partners and I bought the company in 2003-ish. We always intended to monetize something because we're in the business to grow a business, but we're also in the business to make money for ourselves and our families and for our employees as well. And so we decided at the end of 2011 that the market looked good, that we really felt very, very strongly about our potential for growth, and that given there was another competitor out there, a company called Coach, who at the time, little tiny company, I think had a $14, $15 billion market cap, and we felt that there was enough of a precedent there that we could definitely have a strong showing for Wall Street. And so that was our timing from that standpoint, and we were patient. We waited a long time. We could have gone public many, many, many times, and I'm sure you all have seen other companies that you read about, and they're supposedly going to go public, or there's all speculation. But we felt that that was the right time for us, and then the proceeds, quite frankly, went to ourselves personally, and that's what American business is. That's what being an entrepreneur is, and that's the fruits of the labor that hopefully you bear out after you develop something like that.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Aya Wallerbay. I'm a junior in the college, actually studying sociology and German, so not really business oriented.
Christina's doing sociology.
Yeah, we've had a
to
couple
know each
classes
other. Oh,
together.
okay.
But I was interested in knowing more about how your company, I guess, represents the diverse interests of the individuals. In particular, you have stores in Dusseldorf and Japan and a lot of diverse places. And I wanted to know if your company reflected the cultural and racial diversity of a lot of the places where your stores reside.
Absolutely, it's a great question, and it's something we're really proud of. When I sat down with Michael originally, and we talked about what was the staff going to look like inside the store. Let me first start with the music. He wanted 70s and 80s disco in the store. I said, okay, we're going to do it and turn it up loud. And the second thing we talked about was diversity inside of our stores. And it starts with, believe it or not, blonde-haired and brunette. So we start right with that as two things, because there's a lot of people in the world. You start with that first cultural differentiation. And then second, you talk about the different representations of skin color as well inside the store, which we think is very important for us because our customers are diverse. And then you come down to the different nationalities, because it's not just hair color, different skin color, but it's also different nationalities. You can meet someone who is Mexican and someone who is Spanish, and even though they speak the same or somewhat similar language, they're very different culturally. And so we wanted to represent that. And then lastly, languages, because obviously you need to speak multiple languages inside the stores. So we work very hard to create that environment inside of our store because we want people to feel comfortable. If you come into a store and it feels only one way, I'm telling you that's going to hurt your business. It's just pure and simple. This is not about me trying to balance the world or not. I can't balance the world or not. But what I can tell you is that if you walk into a store and it looks all one way, you're not going to feel comfortable. I don't care who you are. My wife does not have blonde hair, and if she walks in and sees everybody in the store with blonde hair, she doesn't like that. She says, you're not representing part of me as a consumer inside the store. So Michael feels very, very strongly, and we as an organization feel very, very strongly, that we need to represent that no matter where we are inside the globe. It gets a little tougher for us in Asia, though, to be honest with you. You do not have the diversity. You can't find anybody with blonde hair. We start with that right off the bat. It is much more difficult to find people of color there. But inside of it, what's interesting is, Asians have a whole thing that there as well. Do you want to make sure that you have people from northern China and southern China? And while I probably can't visually see the difference, they can see the different physical differences. They can see the different representations. They can hear the different inflections in the language. Obviously Mandarin is becoming the national language inside of China, but you have people who speak Shanghainese, Cantonese, all these different dialects inside the store. And it is so complicated to put this Rubik's Cube together if we want to try and be all-inclusive to a broad group of people. And so it's something we work hard at. We think we're good at it, and we make it part of a cornerstone of our culture of our company. So,
Thank you.
great question.
Sorry.
Uh-oh,
Hi.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid now.
So you talked a lot about the diversity of like the employees, but also Michael Kors, I mean, at least I know in the start, was protecting a certain American culture in the sense that like this jet set lifestyle and this on-the-go lifestyle, this efficient kind of like, yeah, ready to go, was a certain like American culture. Do you find that Michael Kors is going along with like globalization and everything is like, I know that in Madrid, for example, you sell different products that you don't necessarily sell in the States, or you sell more or less of one thing or another. Do you find that you are catering more to diverse cultures in like in actual styles of clothing and styles of bags, or do you find that you're trying to stick more to like an American look?
No, it's a good question. Look, first and foremost, we're an American company. We're proud of that. We want to wave the flag everywhere we are in the world, and we're proud of the fact that we built a $2 billion business from America. So let's hear it for America, okay? Even though you're from Spain, I know that. But your mother's American, so that's okay. So, but the truth is, for us, what we do is three things. We sell glamour. You're glamorous. We sell chic. You're chic. This one I'm going to get in trouble with. I have to point at my sister. And we sell sexy. Can't point at anybody else. And really think about those three words, and almost universally, what woman doesn't want to feel glamorous, chic, and sexy? You're one of those three at any one point in time, during the day, during the week, during the month. Now, that has a little different connotation in different places. If I go use the word sexy in China, it's not as well accepted. And funny enough, it's cultural. I'll give you a different. Japan. You use the word sexy in Japan, that's not the word you want to use. It's actually a word called kawaii, which means pretty/cute. And that is culturally how women are brought up in Japan. It's more about being pretty and cute. So you want to slightly adjust your positioning for that marketplace. Whereas in certain other cultures, chic, if you're in France, obviously, très chic. So we will adjust ourselves ever so slightly. But the one thing that's been, I think, the key to our success is, and again, I'm sure your girlfriends love wearing Michael Kors when you go into Madrid. They love the watch, they think the bags are cute, and we really think we've identified a universal design that really resonates across the globe. So, yes, we adjust certain product mixes in the store. In the store in Delhi that we're opening up in another 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to put more bling, more items with more stones on it, that kind of thing. Another, talking about balance, when I was up recently in Stockholm, in Sweden, I saw more luggage leather handbags because all the girls have blonde hair. So the blonde and the luggage goes better together. You see a lot less black bags. So we'll adjust that for that type of differentiation. But, whoops. but really try to keep the message consistent. So good question. Uh-oh, it's her sister now. Now we're in trouble.
You mentioned that, I think you said.
This is the last question. Sorry.
Okay.
You have around 250 stores now around the world, and you're aiming to open hundreds of others.
Total 600.
How do you gauge kind of where the next opening is, which cities? I know that there are several in New York. You just opened one in Madrid, for example. I wanted to know like how you kind of gauge where there's a marketplace for a Michael Kors store and which city and kind of how you.
Yeah, no, this is a very good question. So we just opened in Barcelona. So as well, and again, tourists, we love tourist locations. Anywhere where there's tourists, high velocity, high traffic on the streets. Georgetown's a good example of that. When we look in the store, I mean, Megan, you know more than anybody. I mean, all these different languages people are here, visiting. So we'll typically look for tourist locations first, and secondly, we'll look for high traffic shopping malls as well. And then the third thing is we will open in certain locations. We're going to open in Marbella. Now, Marbella, we're not going to do a tremendous amount of business, but for 3 or 4 months out of the year, it's going to be the right smell. So we might open in Capri, or we're in Southampton, in a luxury area like that. So we're going to open in St. Moritz. And again, St. Moritz, the business is 3 or 4 months, but you do that so that the right people see the brand, they're saying the right things about it. So when they go back to their city, they're shopping for the product. So it's almost like an advertisement or a billboard for us. So, good question. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. Thank you. I want to also thank Keegan, because if it wasn't for Keegan, I wouldn't be here. He came up to me at a networking event, stuck his hand right in my face, introduced himself, told me that I should be here and come speak, and I did that. And there was also one other young lady in this room who helped organize that too. I don't know where she is, but thank you to you wherever you are. And I want to thank everyone from the business school for hosting this evening, and best of luck to everyone, and go Hoyas.
Thank you all for attending. We'd like to invite you to our reception and official colloquium.